Part 22. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 211. Chen Yingxiu's dad also announced that Zhang Cheng's fishing operation was a complete success. Although I haven't completely conquered it, I'm not far off. Chen Yingxiu leaned in his arms, closed her eyes and felt the warmth, and the world seemed to quiet down. After a long time, the two separated. Zhang Cheng wiped away the tears on her face and said gently, "Be good, sign the contract." Chen Yingxiu picked up the contract in her hand and tore it up without hesitation. "No, as long as you have this intention, I'm not short of money." The contract was broken into pieces and she threw it into the trash can. Zhang Cheng touched her head and said nothing. Although Chen Yingxiu is a year or two older than him, it doesn't matter. The female junior is holding a gold brick. Zhang Cheng looked at Chen Yingxiu's eyes full of dependence and couldn't help but grin. He has a daughter who is older than himself. This feels really good. Chen Yingxiu looked into his eyes and said seriously, "You said you should take good care of me in the future." She remembered every word Zhang Cheng said tonight. If he dares to break his promise, I will definitely do what I said. Zhang Cheng was equally serious. There is no fear in raising fish if you have a system. In fact, Zhang Cheng just relied on the system. Every time he conquered a female supporting character or heroine, he would give them the title of loyalty. But Zhang Cheng would not act recklessly with this. He is an ethical fish farmer. In this world, who knows how many more plot dungeons he will experience. "Isn't that why you called me here tonight?" Chen Yingxiu returned to her original appearance at this time, looking at him with a smile. "Yes, I have only one purpose today, and that is to make it clear to you." Zhang Cheng agreed. At this time, the celebration party has also reached the stage of eating and drinking. Each employee has received his bonus and sat happily at the table, bragging and spanking with his colleagues. Looking at the atmosphere in the banquet hall, Zhang Cheng smiled. "Let's go. I have reserved the presidential suite here. Let's go up there to celebrate." Chen Yingxiu blinked. "You are just a beast. I just promised you, are you going to take me to check out a room?" "Okay." Chen Yingxiu did not refuse and agreed with a smile. The two people walked out of the banquet hall one after another without anyone noticing, and took the elevator to the top floor. After Mo Rongpeng and Tang Hobo finished their speeches and distributed bonuses to everyone, they returned to where Zhang Cheng and the others started. Looking at the empty place, the two of them looked blank. Where are people? Not long after he left, he disappeared. Tang Hobo couldn't help but ask, "Old Mo, where is Mr. Zhang? Didn't he say that Mr. Chen has business to discuss with us?" Mo Rongpeng also looked confused and replied, "Maybe it's settled. Ignore them, we eat our own." In this way, two older singles ate happily in front of a table. Zhang Cheng took Chen Yingxiu to the presidential suite of the hotel. After closing the door, Chen Yingxiu came to the sofa and sat down. "Beast, you said so many sweet words, isn't it just for now?" Sure enough, what the internet said was right. He's handsome and can talk, but he's still a scumbag. Still very lovable. Zhang Cheng untied his tie, sat next to her, smiled slightly and said, "Then you were kidnapped by me, weren't you? Do you still want to regret it?" Chen Yingxiu curled her lips, her charming eyes were as tender as water at this moment. "That's not the case. You have deceived me. Can I still escape?" She is also 28 years old, 2 years older than Zhang Cheng. But Chen Yingxiu took good care of herself. She looked like she was in her mid-20s, the best age. The body proportions are excellent, without a trace of excess fat. Suddenly, an indescribable atmosphere began to fill the huge presidential suite. How to say? But this is not the most important thing. It's just very restless and whimsical. Yes, LSP. Little did he know that Chen Yingxiu pushed him directly onto the sofa and sat on him. Since breaking the law, Zhang Cheng has found that his health is getting better and better. I really hope it can go on forever. Just after coaxing people, he asked them to follow him to the presidential suite. Isn't this LSP? It's her subtle movements that are the most deadly. Zhang Cheng felt that this word was very suitable for him now. An internet term came to his mind. Zhang Cheng looked at her and suddenly felt his mouth went dry. Absolutely not allowed. As a man, I have been provoked. After saying that, the expensive custom-made evening dress slipped off, leaving Zhang Cheng stunned. For the next 2.5 hours, Zhang Cheng brutally led the initiative. Exercise from time to time and keep active. All the way into the room. What are you doing? Without thinking too much, Zhang Cheng directly turned against the guests. At the end of this hot summer, there is actually a feeling of spring. Zhang Cheng was speechless. This woman's gaze was really unsettling. Zhang Cheng looked at her, blinking. Afterwards, Zhang Cheng lay aside and said with emotion, "All the money has been spent." Chen Yingxiu chuckled and said, "Isn't that what you want? This kind of woman is undoubtedly the most attractive." Zhang Cheng Gang wanted to be prepared to take things by surprise and touch people. It's hard not to think well about your body. LSP. Take the initiative. Sofa, bathroom. Bang. When will this kind of life end? Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 212. In Zhu Ming Villa. Zhu Ming was already finished at this moment. In fact, when he came with Xia Wanting, he was over in 20 minutes. But he was unwilling to do so. So he used the methods he learned from the omnipotent internet to torture Xia Wanting. On the bed. Xia Wanting was wrapped in a quilt, with obvious tears still on her face. There were traces of dripping low-temperature candles on her back. At this moment, she was still in a daze. She never expected that Zhu Ming would be so perverted. Seeing her distracted look, Zhu Ming couldn't help but said, "From now on, you are mine, do you understand? I don't care about everything before, but it's different now. Our two families have been combined. So, there's a lot of things you have to know about the do's and don'ts." His meaning was simple, to warn Xia Wanting not to have any illusions about Chen Luo. Traces were left behind by oneself. So what if Chen Luo regains his identity as the son of the richest man? He will never want you Xia Wanting again. Xia Wanting nodded instinctively and replied, "I understand." In fact, she also knew that her biggest capital was gone. For now, Zhu Ming was her last choice. Chen Luo was publicly announced to have severed ties with Chen Luo by the richest man. It is basically impossible to return to the Chen family, so his current status is no different from that of an ordinary person. In order to live a better life, I have wasted 3 years of my youth on Chen Luo. This is enough. The ostracism within the Xia family and the pressure from her parents. All this made Xia Wanting feel desperate. Only by relying on others can she live a better life. The Xia family restricted her. While she was lost in thought, Zhu Ming's hand suddenly touched her. She was so frightened that her body trembled. Subconsciously, he thought that Zhu Ming would continue to do all kinds of abuse to him. But no, Zhu Ming touched her cheek and said softly, "I took your first time, and I am not an unreasonable person. From now on, you are my wife." Zhu Ming was also a little obsessed with Xia Wanting. This obedient woman gave him great inner satisfaction. Yes, a sense of satisfaction. "I will treat you well from now on." After Xia Wanting heard this, she suddenly felt like crying. After living for so long, I finally lived the way I wanted. I have a rich, handsome boyfriend to love me. Although his face is a bit miserable now, it will not prevent him from looking handsome after he recovers from the injury. Although she is a little regretful about Chen Luo's identity, otherwise, based on Chen Luo's attitude towards her, Xia Wanting believes that marrying Chen Luo will actually lead a better life. But now I have no choice. All I have left is Zhu Ming. Finally divorcing Chen Tiansheng, she returned to the Su family and successfully became the head of the Su family with her own means and abilities. Although he was a little disgusted by his mother's words, it was undeniable that Chen Tiansheng really didn't recognize his own words, so it would be better to change his appearance and become a member of the Su family. I have done all kinds of things to find men in clubs. Chen Luo smiled bitterly and said, "Mom, I also want to rely on my own abilities, not the old man, and show him how to live happily in the demon city." Dog stuff. Su Lian was slightly dissatisfied. Of course, the dissatisfaction was only because Chen Luo had been lying to her and did not explain the situation to her. Who knew that he would insist on severing the father-son relationship with me because Wanting and I were together? As long as Chen Luo changes his name and follows her to the Su family. Su Lian dotes on her son very much, because she is the only direct daughter in the entire Su family. She has no elder brother or younger brother. Zhu Ming. Chen Luo frowned slightly. Why did you hide the bet between you and Chen Tiansheng when you returned to China? If he really doesn't want you, then change your surname to the Su family and let Chen Tiansheng cut off his descendants. Whatever Mom has, I'll give it to you. Although it was Xia Wanting's first time, Zhu Ming did not show any pity, but was very rude. Xia Wanting endured the faint pain of her injuries and hugged Zhu Ming. "Husband, I love you." After saying that, the two people rolled up the sheets again. In Su's house in the demon capital. Don't be controlled by the old man all the time. Otherwise, how could she be willing to let Chen Luo endure hardship for 3 years? This is the heritage of an old family. Mom, that Zhu family, I must make him disappear in the demon city. Suddenly, Chen Luo thought of the Zhu family again, and his whole face looked a little ferocious. Son, Chen Tiansheng doesn't want you. From now on, he will come to Su's house to live with his mother. The Su family deserves no one and no power in the demon world. It was already 11 o'clock. Not only that, Su Lian is also the contemporary female head of the Su family. The Su family has a small number of members. Her marriage to Chen Tiansheng can actually only be regarded as a strategic marriage at the time. Chen Luo was sitting in the living room of his mother Su Lian's villa. On the sofa opposite him was a fat lady. She was Su Lian. Zhu Ming caressed her delicate body and replied in the same way, "I love you too, wife." When she learned that Chen Tiansheng was infertile, Su Lian was fine at first, but later began to cheat on her. Su Lian picked up a pack of women's cigarettes from the coffee table, took out one, lit it, and took a puff. In the future, the entire Su family will belong to Chen Luo. It's okay. Although his Chen family is rich in the demon capital, our Su family is not bad either. Su Lian nodded, "Don't worry, son. Our Su family still has some strength in the demon city. It's just a small company. We will let it go bankrupt tomorrow. Tell me, she will definitely support you." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 213. Tomorrow, Mom will accompany you to Xia's house to have a look. I want to see if the person who dares to make fun of my son has 3 heads and 6 arms or something, Su Lian said coldly. She is not big-minded herself, let alone when it concerns her precious son. As a protective person, she wanted to see how old the so-called old lady was. No one in my Su family dares to call themselves the so-called old lady or old lady. Who is the Xia family who has never heard of them? Thank you, Mom. Mom is so kind. Chen Luo was extremely excited. Only mother is good in the world. How can the old man be as reliable as his mother? Pooh. In this cold and real world, only my mother can give me warmth and care. In fact, Chen Luo, as the male protagonist of a son-in-law novel, shouldn't be so useless. But before he started cultivating immortality, he had always relied on his family and various adventures. Including perfect luck, various benefits brought to him, whatever he invests in will rise in value, and an antique bought must be genuine. If you buy a company, it will soon make major breakthroughs in research and development and become a top investment god, making countless people regret and worship him. This is the luck of a child of luck who is at full level. Putting all this aside, Chen Luo is just an ordinary person, he just has a background and a higher starting point than others. Mom, go to bed first. I will accompany you to see the Xia family tomorrow. If that girl is really suitable, then mom will let her marry you. Su Lian got up and returned to the room. Chen Luo watched her leave with a smile on his lips. Wanting, I'm back again. Just wait, I will definitely marry you this time. Although my mother doesn't have that much money for herself, it is still a small problem to spend more than 10 to 2 billion as betrothal gifts. The next morning, after a night of losing all his money, Zhang Cheng recovered some of his energy. He has a strong physique, but it's not like he will lose his energy just because he has been engaged in high-intensity exercise. But if I keep doing it, my kidney energy will become a little empty. Send someone to Tiancheng Technology today to discuss how to implant your comic software into the holographic imager, Zhang Cheng said to Chen Yingxiu, who came out of the bathroom. Chen Yingxiu nodded, okay. The two confirmed their relationship, but they did not forget about the company's business. Zhang Cheng got up from the bed and walked to the bathroom. When passing Chen Yingxiu, he suddenly asked, how is your relationship with your brother? Chen Yingxiu stopped wiping her hair and sneered, what kind of relationship? I don't like either mother or son. That would be easy. The wealth and power of these families are not only reflected in one company. What? My dad has severed the father-son relationship with Chen Luo. This is impossible, Chen Yingxiu was surprised. Am I right? The corners of Chen Yingxiu's lips raised slightly, how come I am yours too, how can I not understand your intentions? In his design, it was not just as simple as pretending that Chen Tiansheng and Chen Luo would sever their father-son relationship for 7 days. You fixed her up for me and gave my father the ability to have children again, so that he could get rid of being manipulated by the Su family. I know that he favors boys over girls, but Chen Luo is not in love with him. If the Chen family falls, when it is in Chen Luo's hands, it is equivalent to being accepted by the Su family. Chen Yingxiu was a little confused, and Zhang Cheng asked him what he was doing. Instead, he controls countless companies and makes money for them. Chen Yingxiu, hey guys, the 5th update has been delivered, please give me a gift, please remind me to update the video. Hey, you see how pitiful I am, just give me a power generator for love. Chen Yingxiu shook her head, no, thank you. My own father, who regarded Chen Luo as a treasure, would actually sever the father-son relationship with him. Chen Yingxiu couldn't figure it out. The rise of the Chen family was only due to the craze of going overseas. Chen Tiansheng relied on his passion and opportunity to build a huge business empire. Chen Yingxiu was slightly silent after hearing this. Zhang Cheng replied, because next, I may have to target the Su family. Zhang Cheng nodded. You won't blame me for curing your father and creating a younger brother for you, right? The premise is that Zhang Cheng's treatment is effective and his tool secretary is really pregnant. Based on his understanding, Chen Tianzhen's temperament has restored his ability to create humans. If Chen Luo dares to disobey him, he will definitely be cut off. Your father may deal with the Su family because he has severed the father-son relationship with your cheap brother. Zhang Cheng turned around, walked behind her, hugged her, kissed her, and explained softly. Zhang Cheng kissed her and then said with a smile, because I cured your dad, he. Zhang Chen was surprised now. She said thank you to herself. Zhang Chen touched her flat belly and said softly, it's good if you can think about this clearly. Demon City is a place with complex powers. Many times, your company that looks glamorous on the surface is actually just a subordinate force of a family. Zhang Chen is still very confident about copying Ye Tian's inheritance of the god of medicine. Since the inheritance of the god of medicine can give him a solution, there will be no problems. Chen Yingxiu frowned, what are you going to do about the Su family? Although they are not well known in the Demon City, they are an established family and cannot be offended by an outsider like you. Thank you for speaking out for me, Chen Yingxiu said seriously, I have hated that woman Su Lian since I was a child. He briefly explained his plan, embellished it a bit, and told Chen Yingxiu. Why do you ask? That's why I want to thank you. But facing an established family, he could only choose to avoid it. How did you know? Chen Yingxiu asked, turning her head and looking at Zhang Cheng's handsome face. Dad. Even my dad doesn't want to mess with the Su family. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 214. The next day. The Su family in the demon capital. Su Lian was wearing brand name clothes and holding a brand name bag in her hand. Son, let's go, Su Lian shouted to Chen Luo. Chen Luo didn't say much, followed Su Lian's footsteps and left the Su family villa. Outside the villa, a Rolls-Royce Phantom extended version parked at the door. After the two got into the car started. Xia family. The old lady looked panicked at this time. She had just received a call saying that the head of the Su family was here to visit, which shocked her. She didn't know the Su family, but she still knew the Su group's phone number. A real estate tycoon in the demon capital and surrounding cities. This name was enough to shock her. Hurry up, come out with me to greet them, don't leave a bad impression on the head of the Su family. Mrs. Xia pointed at the main members of the Xia family and said anxiously. I don't know what happened during this time. The people who came to Xia's house were all older than the last. Mrs. Xia is an old man of 80 or 90 years old. At this time, she has to go out to greet her in person. Although in the same level of family, everyone should respect her as Mrs. Xia. But among high-ranking families, she, an old lady, seems very ridiculous, just like the frog in the well who says that the sky he sees is only so big. A group of Xia family members came out of the small villa in a hurry. After waiting outside for a long time, Su Lian's Rolls-Royce Phantom slowly drove over. When the car stopped, Su Lian, who looked like a lady, walked out first. Looking at the 7 or 8 members of the Xia family at the door, she asked lightly, which one is Fiancee? When Mrs. Xia heard her calling her name, she stood up with a cane and said, I am Fiancee. Su Lian looked at her sideways and said calmly, I am Su Lian, the head of the Su family. When Mrs. Xia heard this, her old face immediately showed a smile like a blooming chrysanthemum. I wonder why the Su family master came to my Xia family. Su Lian looked up and down at the Xia family, with obvious disgust in her eyes. What a down-to-earth family. That's it? Do you dare to call yourself the old lady? Su Lian didn't know what gave her the confidence to let others call her old lady. A family that is no different from a broken household actually calls themselves an ancient family. Do they really think of themselves as a big family? I'm not here to find you, I'm just here to accompany my son, Su Lian said calmly as the disgust in her eyes subsided. Son. Mrs. Xia looked at the car curiously. Then, the young man who got out of the Rolls-Royce made her stagger and almost fell to the ground. Seeing Chen Luo get out of the car, Mrs. Xia's dim eyes almost popped out. Chen Luo is the son of the head of the Su family. At this moment, Mrs. Xia felt like the world was spinning. Didn't Mr. Chen, the richest man, cut off the father-son relationship with him? Why did the head of the Su family? Zhu Ming lifted the quilt and got out of bed, and said calmly, "What's the rush? Let's go take a shower together. Follow the trend, you are a villain." Wait, the one who broke off the relationship was Chen Tiansheng, the richest man, but he didn't say that his mother couldn't recognize him either. As soon as he walked in, Chen Luo heard Su Lian's tut. In Zhu Ming Villa. Xia Wanting was still lying on the bed, covered with a thin sheet. After hearing the notification, she quickly got up. And he doesn't know how to play tricks, so he can't wait to break off the relationship with the person who has lost power. Su Lian had already entered the villa courtyard and started looking around. Su Lian nodded, "Well, that's okay. Tisk, 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 son, this place is really shabby. What good can you say about the women who live here? Look at this family." After saying that, Mrs. Xia quickly called people and asked them to call Xia Wanting and her family. "I'm tired too, so let's go in and have a rest. Let them come over quickly and let's talk about it. The group will have a board of directors to attend later." Mrs. Xia felt that life was so dramatic. "Hello, Mrs. Xia." Chen Luo got out of the car, walked up to her, and sneered. Glancing at the Xia family standing at the door, he couldn't help but ask, "Where are my father-in-law and Wanting?" Xia Wanting picked up her clothes from the ground and said hurriedly, "The old lady asked me to rush back as soon as possible. There are important things." She felt that this past month must have been a bad year for the Xia family, with all kinds of bad luck happening one after another. The Xia family who followed her in, heard her words and dared not speak out in anger. "Mom, I don't live here." After the two of them took a shower and tidied up, they slowly drove off. "Yes." Her movement woke Zhu Ming up. "You said you have lived here for 3 years, don't you feel aggrieved? What are you doing, in a hurry?" Zhu Ming's tone was slightly dissatisfied. "Call and ask them to come over," Chen Luo said calmly. Chen Luo smiled contemptuously. Chen Luo was a little helpless on the side. Mom is good at everything, but she is a little too picky and wants the best in everything. Wanting's parents are working in the company now. "Wanting, I'm not sure." Mrs. Xia stood aside and answered truthfully. Before Xia Wanting could refuse, Zhu Ming hugged her and walked to the bathroom. Chen Luo no longer wants to look at these families. He just wants to be with Xia Wanting and reason with them, and he must use his strength. Chen Luo has already seen through this old guy's face. "This is the first time I've been called shabby." "Chen, hello, Mr. Chen." Mrs. Xia's mouth twitched, her face was so low that she didn't dare to look at Chen Luo. "But Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain." Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 215. Are people nowadays so ignorant of time? "We've been waiting here for an hour, and no one has arrived yet." Su Lian raised her hand, looked at the time on her watch, and said impatiently. Mrs. Xia smiled apologetically and said, "It should be soon. Wanting's family is quite far away from us. Time is running out." Chen Luo was on the side, playing with his phone boredly. Now he is also starting to act like a playboy. "Originally, I just wanted to be friends with you as an ordinary person, but you look down on ordinary people." He sees through it now. Mrs. Xia waited impatiently. Finally, after a few minutes, Xia Wanting's parents walked in. "Mom, why did you call us over?" Xiahao entered the door in a hurry. When he saw Chen Luo in the front seat, his whole body fell silent for an instant, as if his neck was suddenly strangled, and his eyes widened. "Father-in-law, sit down and don't stand," Chen Luo said with narrowed eyes. Okay." Xiahao smiled dryly. Then he walked to Mrs. Xia and sat down. As soon as they sat down, Mrs. Xia pulled Xiahao and asked quietly, "Where is Wanting?" Xia Wanting and Xiahao are in the same department. Logically speaking, Xia Wanting should come back with the two of them. Xiaohao didn't say anything, but asked, "Mom, Chen Luo is?" Because Chen Luo and a lady with an impressive temperament sat at the head of the Xia family villa. That's Chen Luo. The chairman of the Su group, Mrs. Xia whispered. Buzz. Upon hearing this, Xiaohao was completely stunned. Call wanting back quickly before he could recover, Mrs. Xia continued. Xiaohao quickly said, "Mom, wanting last night." Before Xiaohao finished speaking, two figures walked in again at the door of the villa. Xia Wanting's voice interrupted Xiaohao. However, when Xia Wanting walked into the villa, her expression was the same as when Xiaohao came in. "Grandma, why are you calling me back in such a hurry? Zhu Ming and I are together." Chen Luo. When Xia Wanting walked into the villa holding Zhu Ming's arm and saw Chen Luo sitting in the front seat, stunned, she screamed. This high decibel sound shocked everyone. Everyone only saw Xia Wanting hugging Zhu Ming's arm and leaning on his shoulder with an affectionate look on her face. "It's over." This was the only sentence that came to the minds of Mrs. Xia and Xiaohao. Completely finished. "Chen Luo, why are you here?" Xia Wanting asked in panic. After seeing Xia Wanting's reaction, Zhu Ming beside him suddenly became angry. He hugged her directly and sneered at Chen Luo, "She is mine now. Just a bitch. Do you still have any sense of shame?" After the slap, Mrs. Xia immediately turned around and said respectfully to Su Lian, "Master Su, this woman Xia Wanting is shameless. I will expel her family from the Xia family now. Starting tomorrow, I don't want to hear the word Zhu family in the Demon City." Chen Luo couldn't accept this fact. "Why, it's only been 2 days, 2 days." He stared blankly at the two people in front of him, making love to each other. He also understood Mrs. Xia's intention of doing this, to protect the Xia family. Sacrifice their family. "You are as good as a bitch and you are worthy of my son." Xia Wanting avoided looking at him, not daring to look at him. "What are you looking at?" "Yes, Wanting is already with me." "Stop fantasizing," Zhu Ming sneered. He. Chen Luo really collapsed now. "Wanting, how could you be with him?" Chen Luo couldn't believe it and pointed at them, his fingers trembling. "Chen Luo, I'm sorry, I..." Xia Wanting lowered her head and hadn't finished her sentence yet. "Why are you suddenly with him?" This isn't true, it's not true," Chen Luo was stunned and kept repeating the words in his mouth. "It's just incomprehensible." Su Lian drank tea with an expressionless face, raised her eyes, looked at Xia Wanting, and said lightly, "Is this the woman?" But as if he thought of something, he restrained his body. Upon hearing this, Xiaohao's face changed drastically. Su Lian frowned and said, "What nonsense is the Zhu family? They don't know what is good or bad." Mrs. Xia didn't know when she had already walked over, slapped Xia Wanting hard on the face, and cursed, "How come our Xia family has such a dishonest woman like you? How long has it been since you fucked him?" Chen Luo's mind went blank as if he had been struck by lightning. "Grandma." Xia Wanting covered her face and looked at her in disbelief. Chen Luo had already told her about Xia Wanting last night, and at first she thought the woman might have been forced into it. But now. "Didn't you say you loved me before? What did he do so much for? Isn't it just for Xia Wanting?" When Chen Luo heard his answer, his head buzzed again. Snapped. He looked at his son as if he had lost his soul. With her status, she wouldn't care about this kind of thing at all, but when it related to Chen Luo, she was very concerned about it. Mrs. Xia said sadly. At this time, he was completely unaware of the seriousness of the matter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 216. Yes. As soon as Su Lian finished speaking, a woman standing next to her immediately replied. Below, Zhu Ming still looked confused. What? From the moment he came in, he didn't know what it was about. Is the Xia family sick? Zhu Ming, take her away from our Xia family quickly. You are not welcome here. Suddenly, a Xia family member stood up and yelled at Zhu Ming. Zhu Ming suddenly became angry and shouted, Is your Xia family sick? Why, are you treating me like a monkey? He was really speechless. What kind of thing is the Xia family? Keep making fun of him. Noisy Su Lian frowned and said calmly. Sure enough, the lower class families don't have much quality. Compared to my own level, these people are far inferior, both in terms of quality and power, but they pretend to be quite impressive. Go away, old ladies, what's the matter with you here? Zhu Ming yelled. When he finished shouting this sentence, the whole place suddenly fell silent. The Xia family members in the villa had strange colors on their faces. Zhu Ming called her an old lady? Shock, ridicule, teasing, gloating. Various emotions appeared in their eyes. The Zhu family was really done. Sure enough, someone soon discovered that Su Lian's face gradually turned from dull to ashen. Her short and fat fingers were trembling with anger. She pointed at Zhu Ming and said with an incredulous look on her face, You, what did you call me? At this time, Zhu Ming was still among the top. He didn't pay attention to the changes around him and sneered, I call you a bitch, you damn fat bitch. Are all your Xia family dogs? Zhu Ming regarded her as a member of the Xia family and mocked her unceremoniously. This Xia family really treats themselves as a green onion, trying to trick everyone, as if they really think they are easy to bully. You said that if you expel Xia Wanting from the Xia family, you will expel her from the Xia family. Well, even if you expel her, she is still mine, silly. He has completely lost the gentlemanly demeanor of the past, and is more like a street gangster, constantly making fun of him here. You're crazy, Xiahao, why don't you take your daughter and get out of here? Xia's whole body was about to explode, and she yelled at Xiahao, who was in a daze. Xiahao reacted and walked down quickly, pulling Xia Wanting away. Don't leave. Zhu Ming roared. Xiahao just pretended that he didn't hear it and stayed here to celebrate the new year without leaving. The Zhu family is finished. He quickly picked up Xia Wanting and planned to leave. Chen Luo rushed over, pushed Xiahao away, grabbed Xia Wanting's shoulders with both hands, and roared crazily, You sleep with him just because of a small amount of money, are you a chicken? Okay, it's time to solicit your readers' ideas again. Writing a book requires me to think about my ideas alone, which is too tiring. It's more comfortable to copy the creativity of my book friends. He. My heart suddenly felt empty. Looking back on the past few years, Chen Luo felt more and more worthless. He served Xia Wanting's family by serving tea and water, doing laundry and folding quilts, and doing housework every day. You don't want this. Mom, let's go, I don't need to insist anymore. Chen Luo walked out of the villa lifelessly. P.S. Woohoo, I paid back the flowers today, and I am not in the mood to write anymore. I want to have a good sleep and continue with 5 updates tomorrow. When Xia Wanting's mother was unhappy, she asked her to carry water for washing her feet, and she tolerated it. Stop. At this time, Chen Luo had also come to his senses, his eyes red. You just kissed me the night before yesterday. You kept saying you loved me, but then you turned around and had sex with him. She stood up and looked at the Xia family and Zhu Ming, and said without any emotion, If you can survive the day after tomorrow, the Su family, are incompetent. Chen Luo didn't want to see her again. He felt that the woman in front of him was no longer sacred, and even a little disgusting. Isn't it just money? I can't give it to you, right? You have to listen to your father and become a dog to please him. Chen Luo stared at Xia Wanting with his scarlet eyes. Is what Zhu Ming said true? Did you really sleep with him? I'll go out to have a delicious meal first, and then continue the fifth update tomorrow. Hey, keep asking for gifts. I got nothing. I've been guarding you for 3 years. You think I'm poor and don't let me touch you? Well, I won't touch you. That's okay. Chen Luo couldn't help it at this moment and shouted at her loudly, I rode hard for you. For 3 years, I didn't touch you. I did everything you asked me to do. How does your family treat me? I've endured it too. Chen Luo, I don't want this either, Xia Wanting said pitifully with a cry. Anyone with money can get on. But Chen Luo pointed back at Mrs. Xia and gritted his teeth and said, there is also this old guy who is snobbish. I can see it clearly, so I asked my mother to come with me this time just to show you that there is no Chen Tiansheng. I am also an existence that you cannot afford to offend. What does it mean to be an old man? Suddenly, Chen Luo saw the strawberry mark on her neck and felt like a bolt from the blue. It wasn't until she disappeared that Su Lian recovered from the words old woman and fat woman. What the hell did I do wrong? She was at a loss. Yes, what's the difference between being a chicken and being a chicken? There can be warriors, but it can't be too outrageous. Finally, definitely don't mention a child of destiny who cultivates immortality to me, I don't want to write about it. Xia Wanting was awakened by his roar. But you gave your first time to someone you've only known for how long? Not even half a month. I listened to every word she said and acted accordingly. He had not touched Xia Wanting for 3 whole years, and now she was slept with by a man he had known for less than a week. He waited for 3 years. Chen Luo couldn't understand it no matter how much he thought about it. Finally, this son-in-law is so well written that there is not much extended plot at all, so I am collecting copies for the next one. It's best to locate it in the Magic City. I need to handle the connection. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 217. Looking at the fat woman passing by, Zhu Ming was stunned for a moment. Su family, what Su family? It wasn't until Su Lian left that the Xia family breathed a sigh of relief. When Mrs. Xia saw Zhu Ming who was still stuck here, she said coldly, get out of Xia's house quickly. This broom star. It offended the Su family, but fortunately the head of the Su family did not implicate the Xia family, but only named the Zhu family. My little Xia family has escaped a disaster. When Zhu Ming heard what Mrs. Xia said, he thought he had heard it wrong and couldn't believe it and said, you want me to get out? Mrs. Xia sneered and said, why do you, a junior, have ears that are harder to use than an old man like me? Do you have to ask me to repeat it? I told you, get out of Xia's house quickly. I don't know how high the earth is. Even the Su group has been offended to death. Is there still room for your Zhu family to survive in this monster city? Mrs. Xia looked at Zhu Ming as if she were looking at a dead person. Of course, people without money and power are no different from dead people to her. This is a person who attaches great importance to interests. Zhu Ming was stunned for a while, and then he said blankly for a long time, Su group, which Su group? With an uncertain tone, he asked cautiously. Could it be? Hey, how many Su families are there in the whole demon world? Mrs. Xia laughed and mocked. There is only one Su group in the entire demon city. The Su family of the well-established Su family. Boom. At this moment, Zhu Ming's mind went blank. The rosy face suddenly turned pale. Su group. That family is even stronger than their Zhu family's rival, the Zhong family. Is the fat woman I just scolded a member of the Su family? Hiss. Zhu Ming took a breath of cold air and collapsed to the ground weakly, muttering, it's over, it's over, it's over now. Just after escaping Chen Luo, he was stepped on again. Are you a bad guy? Thinking of this, Zhu Ming seemed to smile but not laugh, and seemed to cry but not cry. Mrsya was extremely disgusted. Come here, take him out of here. Zhu Ming, who had made her happy before, was now like a piece of shit and was despised by her. Mrsya was worthy of being someone who dared to throw away hundreds of millions of antiques. Zhu Ming let Mrsya's two eldest grandsons pick it up and throw it on the roadside. It's over, the Zhu family is completely over. Zhu Ming completely lost his soul at this time, fell on the roadside, and did not move for a long time. On the other side. Ding. Congratulations to the host, the son of destiny Chen Luo and the heroine Xia Wanting are separated. The mission is completed. Chen Luo's luck value is -30. Villain value add 5,000. Congratulations to the host, 90% of the plot of this book has been completed. The next copy is being selected. Hearing the system prompt, Zhang Cheng's eyes flashed with surprise. This script is so fast. This time I came to Yeadu, it can be said that I was mainly busy with the company and some supporting roles. The script has been selected. Godly article? Not long after, Zhang Cheng went to find Chen Tiansheng and used the medical skills copied from the previous script to cure his impotence. Zhang Cheng grinned when he saw the map drawn by the system. And his recharge can be expanded tenfold. Relying on the characteristics of the Shenhao system, he almost owned a multi-billion-dollar office building in Shanghai, as well as equity interests in various large companies, within a month. Including Zhongxi's finishing touch, Zhu Ming and Xia Wanting started the ambiguous plot in advance, which made Chen Luo furious. Isn't this the one who got the Shenhao system and then showed off like crazy? The next script, Shenhao starts by rewarding female anchors. Because, I also have a system. Chen Tiansheng asked Chen Tiansheng to agree to him and cut off the father-son relationship with Chen Luo for 7 days. Chen Tiansheng was moved by this condition. After all, he was cured and he was able to raise a trumpet. According to today's socialist values, a book with this kind of content is a typical example of getting something for nothing. The plot also unfolds in the magical city. In fact, he is an upstart. He solved something important, and Chen Luo basically collapsed. He has no ability, just relies on rewards to show off, sneaks into some group of emperors, gets to know some boss, and then pretends to be a person with a good background. Suddenly, the voice of the system came again in my mind. Even compared to the previous Dr. God script, Zhang Cheng did not formally contact Chen Luo this time, and only glanced at the initial plot through the glass window. This can be considered a welfare script. Zhang Cheng couldn't help but sigh. As long as he tipped the female anchor, the amount would be returned tenfold, so he immediately cashed out various loans frantically, and finally obtained an initial capital of 2 million. Zhang Cheng. He went home and threatened Chen Tiansheng to reveal his identity in advance. Zhang Cheng has also read this book. As soon as he heard this familiar name, Zhang Cheng immediately remembered it. This can be fun. It started with an ordinary office worker who was discovered by his supervisor because he watched a beautiful girl dancing live at work, and was fired. In the end, he was lying in a rented house and relying on Huabi to make ends meet. Seeing that he was running out of ammunition and food, he spent 20,000 yuan of Huabi's quota because he rewarded the female anchor. When the repayment day came, he was about to demolish one wall to make up for the other, and activated the network Shenhao system. It was completed a week faster than he expected. Otherwise, Chen Luo, the son of luck, could wait for half a month before being exposed, and Zhu Ming would naturally be scared to death. It is estimated that Chen Luo will really have a younger brother soon. After all, there is nothing dangerous about this script. Done easily. As someone who secretly used his mobile phone to read all night long when he was in school, Zhang Cheng still clearly remembers the content of this book. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 218. Finally met a player who is a system streamer. Zhang Chen was looking forward to it. How good would it be to slap the fake Shenhao in the face? But think about it, the plot is also very ordinary. Shinjoryu, if you try to keep him up, you might not be able to suppress him in the end. Because you don't know whether his system will give him your company's stocks. Since his birth point is in Demon City, it will be easier to handle. Zhang Cheng took another look at the prompts given by the system, and then murmured, first make arrangements for Demon City and then go back. The birth point is in the Demon City, and in his own base camp, there is no problem in dealing with a fake god. Ding. Remind the host that the internet Shenhao plot has been carried out by 20%. Please prepare the host. Zhang Cheng, who was about to relax, suddenly heard a system prompt and was shocked. What the hell, this fake god also comes with 10% of the plot progress. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng felt a little nervous. The challenges before were not too big, so this powerful man had the ability to threaten him. If the plot exceeds 10%, it means that the fake Shenhao is now a person with a small amount of assets. No, we have to deal with this quickly. I want to go back and meet the fake Shenhao. Thinking of this, Zhang Cheng stood up immediately. Go and settle Chen Tianzhen's matter first. Zhang Cheng made a quick decision and planned to give Chen Tianzhen a blowjob. After all, his wife cuckolded him, and now she stood up for Chen Luo. Chen Tianzhen would definitely be so angry that he would vomit blood. In the most powerful son-in-law, when Chen Tianzhen died, he still left in anger. Because she was angry with Xia Wanting. Zhang Cheng still remembered how Xia Wanting supported the Xia family after Chen Luo married Xia Wanting. Various orders from the Chen group are sent to the Xia family from time to time. Then a moth appeared in the Xia family, and Mrs. Xia angrily kicked him out of the Xia family. In the end, the assets sucked from the Chen family were still swallowed by the Xia family. However, as a son of luck, Chen Luo naturally doesn't care about this. Whatever he invests in, he will make huge profits. After cultivating immortality, this asset was also given to the Xia family to take care of. Zhang Cheng left the hotel, and Chen Yingxiu left early because she had to go to work. Before leaving, she had breakfast with him. Arriving at the hotel parking lot, Zhang Cheng drove into his Porsche and whizzed away to the headquarters of the Chen Group. It didn't take long to arrive at the Chen Group. He directly reported his name and waited for a while at the front desk. Chen Tianzhen's pretty secretary came to pick him up in person. Secretary Chiao said respectfully, Mr. Zhang, Director Chen is already waiting for you above. Okay, let's go. Zhang Chen nodded calmly, and then led by Secretary Chiao to Chen Tianzhen's office area. The pretty secretary opened the door for him, waited for him to enter, then closed the door in a wise manner and left. In the huge and luxurious office, Chen Tianzhen was sitting on the sofa, wearing a pair of myopic glasses, looking at his company's financial statements. Mr. Zhang, please sit down. When Zhang Cheng walked up to him, Chen Tianzhen raised his hand in a gesture of invitation, then picked up the tea set on the table, washed a cup, and poured him a cup of Westlake Longjing. After Zhang Cheng sat down, Chen Tianzhen asked, "What's wrong with Mr. Zhang this time?" His intuition told him that Zhang Cheng was definitely up to no good when he came to find him. I brought some medicine for Director Chen. Zhang Cheng put the medicine bag in his hand on the table and said with a smile. Chen Tianzhen raised his eyebrows. Nothing good. This guy has brought medicine for himself, how can it be so simple? I wonder if Director Chen has heard about it? Chen Tianzhen was startled and asked, what did you hear? Chen Luo went to the Su family to find Su Lian, and also used her Su family's name to go to the Xia family, Zhang Cheng said leisurely. Boom. Green veins popped out on Chen Tianzhen's forehead, and he gritted his teeth and said, this shrew actually dares to help that bastard. Of course he was not Su Lian when he was angry. Instead, he was angry that Chen Luo did not come to talk to him the first time, but immediately approached Su Lian after refusing. This made it clear that he cared about the Su family, not his Chen family. After divorcing Su Lian, Chen Luo followed him. But he never thought that the person he had raised for so long was openly against him, and if something happened, it was not because of him. The first one that comes to mind is Su Lian. Zhang Cheng drank tea calmly, not surprised by his reaction. If he had told Chen Luo to go find Su Lian before this incident happened, Chen Tiansheng would have just laughed it off. But after Chen Tiansheng announced that he had severed the father-son relationship with him, what he was waiting for was for Chen Luo to come to him to confess and make him realize his mistakes. But no, Chen Luo ignored him and went to Su Lian. Especially after he warned Su Lian dared to help him. This hit Chen Tiansheng, who had a strong self-esteem. This bastard, does he really dare to deny me as his father? Chen Tiansheng was suddenly frightened. Yes, what should I do if Chen Luo really doesn't recognize me this time? Chen Tiansheng felt uncomfortable when he thought of this. The son he had raised for so long was finally going to take advantage of that woman? Absolutely not. Director Chen can try to call Su Lian, maybe there will be an unexpected surprise. Just when Chen Tiansheng was extremely confused, Zhang Cheng reminded him leisurely. Chen Tiansheng suddenly realized, yes, ask Su Lian. After thinking clearly, Chen Tiansheng picked up the mobile phone on the tea table, found Su Lian's number and dialed it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 219. The phone was connected, and Su Lian's highly recognizable voice came out through the speakerphone. Chen Tiansheng had a calm face and asked, Su Lian, let me ask you, is that boy Chen Luo at your place? Su Lian was silent for a second, and then her harsh taunts resounded. Is it strange that my precious son is here with me? But you useless person, actually dare to sever the father-son relationship with my precious son. Su Lian's words were full of sarcasm. Tisk, tisk, if you cut off the relationship with my precious son, you, old man, will be completely cut off, right? Please beg me. As soon as I am happy, maybe I can let my son reconcile with you again. Otherwise, your Chen family will have no descendants. Oh, I forgot, you also have a daughter. That bitch Chen Yingxiu is quite capable. She even built an internet company without your help, which is pretty fancy. I'm telling you. The more Chen Tiansheng listened, the darker his face became. In the end, he became so gloomy that he could shed tears. He looked at the phone on the tea table and yelled, that's enough. Bitch named Su, I tell you, let Chen Luo answer the phone. When Su Lian saw Chen Tiansheng angry, she did not continue to mock him. She also knew that if Chen Tiansheng really went berserk, her Su family might not be able to bear it. Curling her lips, Su Lian shouted to Chen Luo, who was in a daze in the car, son, son. After shouting a few times, Chen Luo came back to his senses and said with a bitter smile, what's wrong, mom? Chen Luo has been in a daze since he got in the car. Xia Wanting's face kept appearing in his mind, and bits and pieces of the past came to mind, making him feel slightly sad. Your bastard father asked you to answer the phone. When Chen Luo heard this word, he immediately frowned and said, no answer. This old guy has already kicked me out, and he still wants me to listen to his phone calls? Don't even think about it. Unless he comes to apologize to me in person, don't let me go back to Chen's house. Chen Luo gritted his teeth and said bitterly. If the old man hadn't suddenly cut off the relationship, Xia Wanting would have been his long ago. Su Lian was very satisfied with Chen Luo's answer and nodded. Then she took back her cell phone and said to Chen Tiansheng in a show-off manner, oh, You heard it, right. My precious son doesn't want to hear your calls. You better come to Sue's house honestly and apologize to your precious son, otherwise you will never let him call you dad again in this life. As everyone knows, on the other side, Chen Tianzhen's majestic old face has become terrifyingly gloomy. Chen Luo. Are you really using the fact that you can't have children to do whatever you want? What are you doing all this for? If it doesn't work, I'll leave it to Chen Yingxiu to take care of it. It's good to have it. If Chen Luo, like others, came to him immediately to admit his mistake and beg for forgiveness after hearing the news, then everything would still be his. This is Chen Tianzhen's current decision. Then he asked Zhang Cheng, who was calmly drinking tea aside, Mr. Zhang, can your medicine help me? Secretly stunned. It's fake anyway. Just pay her a large fee and that's it. It's just a woman. For him, he has no intention of marrying again. When the time comes, he will let her give birth and the child will be given to him. What is the purpose of everything you have worked so hard for? Obviously, Chen Tianzhen didn't feel that what he said that day was wrong. Zhang Cheng took his time and picked up the medicine package on the table and opened it. As a result, just because of his words, he dared to really abandon himself as his father. No, it's still for him. Chen Tianzhen didn't want to hear Su Lian's chirping voice anymore, so he hung up the phone directly. Chen Tianzhen said seriously, Mr. Zhang, please speak. I have to choose a vase from a small family, I don't know anything, and I can't make anything. Hearing this, Chen Tianzhen's face showed a look of joy. P.S. I didn't eat at night. I got a stomachache. I went to the hospital. When I came back, there were only 2 chapters left. You can read it tomorrow morning. No need to wait. Sorry, this is an old problem. She's pregnant, and if Chen Luojin doesn't want to be his son, that's okay. The material used is a bit strong. Chen Luo, he may not continue to recognize you as his father. He has already turned against you, and there is a high possibility that he will eventually change his surname to Su, Zhang Cheng said in a deep voice. He didn't finish his sentence. In 5 days, exactly 1 week, you can find out whether your pretty secretary is pregnant. I won't get too involved in your affairs, but there is something I want to remind Director Chen. I am still young and can still take care of myself. Chen Tianzhen carefully picked up the medicine bag and smelled the pungent smell of Chinese medicine inside. He doesn't pay much attention to bloodline and the like. Now as long as he can give birth to one, he is confident that he can practice the new trumpet well. Choose the best and most beautiful woman for him, but he doesn't want it. Now, according to my observation, your secretary has a 90% chance of getting pregnant. Just ask her to take a pregnancy test in a week and we will know. Sure enough, when he heard about the surname change, Chen Tianzhen's face changed slightly, and then he sighed and said, if he changes his surname within 5 days, then I will not have this son. When he got here, he didn't forget to give Chen Tianzhen a shot as a precaution. My medicine was taken in one go. Take this medicine and your problems will be completely solved. Then you can have as many as you want. Zhang Cheng pushed the medicine over and smiled lightly. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 220. Hearing this, Zhang Cheng smiled slightly. Very good, very satisfied. Although this result is not ideal, it is not much worse. It's only 5 days, it's still worth the wait. Now, Chen Luo only has 20% of his luck value left. One can imagine whose 20% belongs to him. 10% is his mother Su Lian. The remaining 10% belongs to Chen Tianzhen. These 2 people are Chen Luo's last support. As long as one person collapses, the remaining 10% can be solved in minutes. Since the medicine has been delivered, I won't bother you. Director Chen, I'll leave first. Jiang Cheng stood up and said in a happy mood. Chen Tiansheng did not dare to neglect at this moment and stood up with him. Send Jiang Cheng to the exclusive elevator, watch him enter the elevator, and then return to his office. Of course, there were only him and his secretary on this floor. So when he went back, Chen Tiansheng called his pretty secretary into the office again and did another aerobic exercise to increase the chance of pregnancy. Now that you have decided to practice trumpet, don't give up. Jiang Cheng left the Chen Group headquarters. On the way, Jiang Cheng was sorting out the whole story. Since the Xia family has been ruined, Chen Luo should take it upon himself to destroy it in the car. Jiang Cheng murmured, however, I don't intend to let this Zhu Ming go bankrupt and live on the streets. A sinister plot emerged in his mind. The corners of Jiang Cheng's mouth raised slightly. Zhu Ming, he is quite innocent, but just for a word, he dares to hook up with someone who knows he has a husband. This kind of guy is not a good thing. In his opinion, there is no difference between the Xia family and the Zhu family. They are all the kind of people who belong to the bottom series of upper-class society and will do anything to cling to big forces. Although Zhu Ming was determined to hook up with Xia Wanting because of Zhongzhi's words. But in the original work of the most powerful wealthy son-in-law, Zhu Ming also seduced Xia Wanting and then threw her away after sleeping with her. Therefore, this person is not a good person. Even though you know someone has a husband, you still want to sleep with her and ruin the family relationship. Damn it! Since he has been used as a tool, Jiang Cheng will also let him taste Daki first, and then Luo. As a villain, you have to use some villain tactics, Jiang Cheng said with a chuckle. Although this method destroyed a family, Jiang Cheng did not feel that he had gone too far. If Zhu Ming dares to flirt with a married woman openly, he must be prepared to be castrated. But it's not impossible to leave something for your father, provided that we sever the father-son relationship with you. Jiang Cheng smiled with a trace of cruelty. Ha ha ha, let's go take a look. Jiang Cheng laughed, started the car, and sped towards Zhu's house. This feeling of wantonly tampering with other people's lives? My name is Jiang Cheng. Then Xia Wanting personally sent it to her to sleep with, but was it useful? Ding dong. Thinking of this, Zhu Ming just wanted to give himself a few hard slaps. Zhu Gang gritted his teeth, stood up and walked towards the door of the villa. You just accept that woman from the Xia family when she comes to your door? You don't tell me about such a big matter, so you make the decision yourself. Isn't it painful enough for you to have your mouth smashed when you stepped on the horse? Zhu Gang stood in front of him, his face was ashen, he pointed at him and cursed fiercely, the temper of those dogs in the Xia family. You still didn't do it that night when you stepped on the horse. You haven't seen it, have you? But then I thought about it, if this is just a son, if I beat him to death, wouldn't I be deprived of any heirs? In his stunned eyes, the young man in a suit smiled and said, Zhu Gang, right. The father and son looked at each other, both seeing a hint of fear in each other's eyes. Trouble came so soon? Although it is a limited liability company, when it comes to bank loans and when the bank prepares loan information, it needs to add personal guarantees. You can't wait to add all the 7 aunts and 8 aunts in your family if something happens to one company. How can individuals not be implicated? The Zhu family suffered a lot from me. After you go to sleep, why are you pretending to be running back with others when you are on horseback? This is the tragedy of a small family. Because there was only one sentence repeated in his mind, it was over. He couldn't listen to his father's deafening roar. Zhu Gang really wanted to beat this prodigal thing to death at this moment. No need for a reason. If Xia Wanting hadn't slept with her, would what happened today still happen? Suddenly, the villa doorbell rang. Won't. It's quite cool. In the Zhu family, Zhu Ming was completely stunned at this time. If a big family just says a word, their liver and gallbladder will burst into pieces. Hurry up and run away with the bucket, Zhu Gang lamented and sat weakly on the sofa. Run. I have already transferred most of my assets to the maid Kuobin Luffy. Let's run out of the country before the Su family makes any move, Zhu Gang said bitterly. After opening the door, he only saw an extremely handsome young man in a suit standing outside the door. Even if he paid the full amount of subscribed registered capital, it would not help. Chen Luo and Chen Tiansheng broke up, but he still has a strong mother. It's all my damn pride that's to blame. Because when he makes business loans, his personal information is bound. Did I have sperm in my brain that day? There was no light in Zhu Ming's turbid eyes. He smiled bitterly and said, Dad, I'm sorry, I was so obsessed that I listened to that bitch of the Xia family. After offending Chen Luo, he just had his teeth broken. Once the company is bankrupted by the Su family, what awaits the Zhu family is endless collections and eventually imprisonment.